And when I put pen to paper and tell Kenyans...
You are writing a book?
I wrote it a long time ago, but I can't even release it.
Why?
Because I'll end up in... some people might just murder me.
But the book is already there. You know,
it is there
you cannot
written,
kill a voice.
We cannot give it out at the moment. But it will come out at the right time. Kenyans need to understand.
Are you still afraid of that there are still elements within the power circles right now that have grudges from 92? Because those stories that you're telling,
that still pull strings in this country.
Okay.
And let me tell you, Sifuna, most Kenyans don't know what their government is. They have no idea.
Yeah.
And at one time, I wondered to myself, the capacity of those elected, the competences of those elected. Do Kenyans really know what they're electing?
No.
We end up with absolute idiots in positions that you wonder, how did this person get into this position?
Yes.
There are times you would discuss with the people in leadership and you say, you know, this must not be done like this, like that. And if his mind opens up a bit and he understands what you are saying is a good thing, he'll tell you, don't talk about it, keep quiet. So that he comes up as somebody who has come up with some imagination and thought and is talked about it. The problem we have as a country, anybody can rule us. That's the biggest problem we have as a country.
Yeah.
We have not interrogated the competence of Sifuna to know that if I handed over this country to Sifuna, it will move forward.
Yeah.
If I handed over this country to Sifuna, Sifuna will be after competence and not tribe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And not family.
Yeah.
That remains the biggest problem in our republic.
Yeah,
and
but let me just tell you, as even as a member of parliament, this thing called government is very complex.
It is.
And I tell people that even just joining that institution of parliament, there are things that you get to learn, to see, to observe.
You get shocked.
And you are very tempted to conclude that this country cannot be helped. Because it's like there is...
I'm happy that you have the same script.
Yeah.
Same page.
There is infrastructure that ensures that anything that is going to benefit the people does not happen. Things that are so obvious to everyone that this is what makes sense, you find people doing the exact opposite. And then you ask yourself, why does this state of affairs exist? Who is supposed to benefit from this state of affairs? Because it is not the people who benefit from this state of affairs. So I understand what you're saying. By the way, it is not just Kenyans generally. You can imagine even for me, as an elected member of parliament, there are things that I believe I still do not know. Yeah. There are things that I know for a fact I don't understand why they are the way they are. But it is a system. It is the way things are. And you get if you just relax a bit, it's very easy for you to be co-opted into whatever system is, such that you just come to this conclusion that it is not your effort, that things were supposed to be like that. And that even if you fight and you feel like you are on your own.
The same things exist in the executive. I'll give you an example I lived. There were these rumors that toxic waste is being dumped
yes,
in Northeastern. People knew I had the courage to face the leadership that was, including the President Moi. They then used the intelligence. A friend of mine is given a document proving where the toxic waste is being dumped in Kenya. I did not think twice. The first thing I did was to get a phone call and call Mzee Moi. I want a meeting. And I took off and went to that meeting with Sam Nyamweya and the late Choge to go and explain to President Moi that I have this document proving that toxic waste is being dumped somewhere in Northeastern, pretending that we are looking for oil. When I passed over the document from President Moi, I expected him to be very excited and tell me, listen, Cyrus, I want to find out what this is. You mean my people can do such a dirty thing against Kenyans? And the reaction I got was totally different. I was asked a question. Where did you find these documents?
Yeah.
Then I said, Your Excellency, it is you who told us that we must never reveal the source of our information. So you have the powers and you have the system. I have given you a document. Investigate and find out, is it true or not true? No, you will not leave this State House unless you tell me where you found this document. And the argument went on. It was so heated that the security of the president started knocking the door, thinking that Jirongo is a madman, maybe he's fighting the president. They were opening to check what is happening because the president hit the roof. And I did not know the crime I've committed. I have come to you to tell you this thing will hurt Kenyans if it is actually happening. And today, look at this country. Assess the way cancer is finishing Kenyans. The highest rate of cancer victims starts from Embu, Nyeri, Meru, coming to Central. As you move towards Western Province, the rate of cancer is lower. Later on, when I left State House, when we were leaving,
How did you leave? Did you tell him?
No, after arguing, after so many things, when I realized I have messed up myself, is when we were leaving. And I want to tell you, nikisikia hii maneno mahali yengine, utanyoroka. Then I realized, did I go to a thief to tell a thief you are a thief?
You went to the thief.
I had never realized what I was doing. I thought I'm talking for the good of the country, yet I'm reporting
to the person doing the deed.
To people, I can't claim he was the one doing, but obviously he was aware of what was happening. Because he even offered a solution. He said, sisi tunajua, mahali mambo kama hii inafanyika ni Somalia. You know, that raised... Then when we were crossing the gate of State House, it was about 4. I had an announcement. Gaylord Avedi, who was then, who had just been appointed a permanent secretary, Minister of Energy. And the government has just started, it's so new. He has been transferred to office of the president as a PS, and the Mutitu, who used to be the PS there, has been returned. Then obviously I knew I have touched something that is going to bury me. The following day, I was arrested and went to the CID headquarters. And they only wanted one thing.
The source.
Why did you, what did you disagree with the president over? And remember, when I was leaving, I was told, nikisikia hii kitu mahali yengine, utaona. So I realized I'm playing with a grave here. I got to be careful. So no Arapto. Every morning, I reported at 6 o'clock. I was asked one question only. Where did you get this information? And how, what is this that you disagreed with the president over? And my answer was very simple. Ask the president. He told me not to discuss it with anybody else. And I said that for 2 months, reporting at CID headquarters, because I realized if I opened my mouth to explain that I went to the president with these details and that, then the president will get the same information from Noah. And it will be clear that I'm discussing what we disagreed upon with other people. And I've been warned, nitajua. Then I'll be dead meat. I never mentioned it. So in conclusion, we have a variety of dynamics that will change this country. First of all, is to paint a clear vision of where we want to go, as far as I'm concerned. Secondly, to realize the vices that have held us back. Tribalism instead of competence. Then also, ask Kenyans, they have a role to play. The quality of leadership they elect. And thirdly, leadership. When we talk about the quality of leadership that we elect, are we Africans? Are we pushing an African agenda? Or are we slaves of other nations? In my view, if we paint a correct picture and get the right leadership and not tribe, and that leadership understands. Kibaki failed when he then now became a Kikuyu. Initially, he was not a Kikuyu. When he was working with Mike, he was not a Kikuyu. But when now the really Kikuyu came into play as the main advisors, then Kibaki started going down. And that's why you sang Kibaki very loudly when he was not a Kikuyu. By the time he became a Kikuyu, mukakosana. Those will be my sincere views.
That is the correct position. Now, for me, first of all, let me just say, I don't envy you in this attempt to, there is a mental block that I don't know who put it there. But then immediately your name is said. There is a perception that I don't think, even if you took 10 years to explain yourself, I think the way people view and perceive you is not going to change. And the problem with that situation is that there's actually some things that we can learn from your experiences then, and some pointers of, proper warnings about the sort of people who should be able to go into power, should be allowed around power. But because it is Jirongo saying it, you will, of course, be immediately dismissed and said, huyo ni Kanu Hawk, anajaribu hapa kuja kujitetea. So I don't envy you from that particular perspective. But genuinely, you have a responsibility to always speak out and explain to Kenyans that these luxuries that we enjoy right now, it's very easy for them to be taken away.
They can be
you
taken
can
away.
imagine, and I'm sure you will have a conversation with my friend Okiya Omtata at some point. We are back to the era where a president can directly threaten you as an individual because you have exercised a right that is constitutional. Okiya Omtata took a matter to court after we have exhausted all other avenues. When the finance bill was in parliament, there is nothing we didn't say. If it is memoranda, we submitted memoranda. If it is views, we gave views. But they don't listen to Kenyans. They chose to listen to the IMF and the other foreign benefactors. So our only recourse was then to the courts. You take a matter to the court, and the president, physically, just the way that you have described what Moi did to you, tells Omtata that wewe utanijua. You think you can defeat a president in the courts. You will not win in this particular case. So we are slowly witnessing a return to those days. Because, Cyrus, for me, honestly, for me and my children, we don't want to live in fear. Fear is the worst human emotion because it can actually paralyze you. We don't want to be afraid to say things. We don't want to ever go back to those spaces. The young people who are on TikTok, who are on Facebook, who are on IG, should not be feeling afraid to say the things the way they see them and to express yourself. Because if your constitution says you have the freedom of expression, you should be able to say whatever it is you want to say. So we don't want to ever go back there. And it falls back to, do we elect people who believe in these values that we expressed in this constitution? Do we elect people who actually believe that you have a freedom of association? Does William Ruto understand the freedom of expression, the freedom of protest, for instance? If you can tear gas a birthday cake, you just see people here having a good time, a bash, and you throw tear gas at a birthday cake because the mere thought that somebody is being celebrated is something that makes you insecure. Then it tells you that that person does not believe that they should even be in power. So what we need to do, we need to have a conversation. One of the things that I encourage Kenyans every day, watu wa Mungu sio wachache vile Cat Williams anasema. The number of good people in this country is quite high. There are many good people in this country. It is our responsibility to look for those good people because only good people can do good things. If somebody has a history that, like the history of William Ruto, and you have told us some very shocking things, and I don't know why these things are just brushed off. You have told us very shocking things about your experiences with the Kanu regime. Even William Ruto himself, the things you saw with your own eyes as you narrated during Jacob Juma's funeral. But somehow people just brush that aside. No. Huyu ni mtu wa Mungu. Huyu mwenye anaenda kanisa, yeye ndiye amejenga hii makanisa. And then you make the mistake of actually giving power to those sorts of characters. The country will never move forward. So my hope, when we watch movies, we wait for what they call plot twists.
Yes.
When you go around the country right now, every single Kenyan denies voting for Ruto. All of them are saying now he is a bad man. I don't know what plot twist we will have before 2027 for these same Kenyans to come and give this guy a second term. But I have realized that this thing we have discussed here about tribalism and the hatred for other people, there are people who are in a space where they hate other people more than they love themselves. That I would rather be in pain. I would rather be sleeping hungry for as long as Raila is not president. That even if it is Raila who can actually make the economy turn around and make sure that I am able to feed my children, I would rather my children starve than see an uncircumcised Luo being president of this republic.
The same thing you're telling me.
Yes.
It will take over, I don't know how many times
Maybe
just tell you something else.
Wewe hata usijaribu. Wacha tu Wakenya waendelee tu vile.
I just want to tell you something.